So today we're replacing the passenger side engine mount on a 2012 Mazda 3 2.0. The car makes a rattling noise in low gear, and there's also some vibration that you could hear regularly. Symptom of a bad engine mount is signs of tears in the rubber casing, leaking fluid from this rubber boot in the mount. Here's our new mount. We bought this for $35 off of Amazon. The part is below in the description. These two positions here on the new mount will bolt to the chassis using 17mm bolts. There will be 17mm nuts that hold this piece to the studs. Require a 17mm deep socket. Since this is an engine mount, we will need to hold the engine underneath with a jack. That needs to be done before you remove the mount. But the first step is to remove the coolant tank. Careful, if you've run your engine, the coolant could be hot. So for the forward tab, there's an angle to the tab. You want to wiggle it and then pull up firmly, and it'll actually slide off. Now for the back clip, pull hard enough, this plastic rim will actually deform. So as we pull, you can just pull hard enough and it'll come right off as well. So being careful not to cause any leaks, we have taken the coolant tank and kind of propped it up. Keep all these hoses attached. You kind of see how much is leaking from this mount. So it's probably torn somewhere. When we take it out, we'll inspect it and see how bad it is. So we've removed a combination of 8mm and 10mm screws. This may take a little while, but you want to rotate this out of the way in front of the car. To make more room to jack the engine, we're going to put the front of the car on jack stands. We have our jack underneath the car and a 2x4 as well. And that 2x4 is right underneath the engine. We've jacked the engine slightly. We'll give it one more pump. Put a little bit of pressure against the engine so that when we lower it, it's supported by the jack. 17mm bolts first with the breaker bar. So here's the aft bolt that we'll undo. And then we'll do the forward one. And we'll just loosen both the passenger side. And it'll come loose pretty quickly once you've broken the torque. So I'm just using the ratchet to loosen. And here's the first bolt. Also in good condition. First nut. And one more. And then we can simply lift up on the old mount and remove it. It's leaking from the top. It's not necessarily torn on the bottom, but it's definitely time to replace it since it's starting to leak. Barely moves, whereas the old mount moved around a lot. And you'll notice the engine is shifted so that you can't quite reach the studs. So we'll jack the engine a little bit more to align it properly. So we're pumping the jack. And the engine's repositioning. The engine's now in the right direction to put the nuts back on. And the torques for these nuts are going to be in the link in the description, so we'll wind the nuts down. So before we tighten everything, we're going to put in the chassis side bolts as well. So here's one. We're just going to make sure that that's in there first and tightened before we tighten the engine side. Want everything lined up before torque application, or else you won't be able to move anything once the engine's lowered or everything's torqued. So now that we have the engine side and the passenger side snug, we could bring everything into final torque. And then we'll torque the last bolt. And we're ready to put the tank carefully back into place and slide the back piece and the front piece at the same time and simply push down. Back's good, front's good. And then we will lower the jack stand under the car, zip up front cover. Once the front cover is done, and the engine is no longer jacked, lower the car. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe.